stage presence, storytelling, the ability to clearly articulate your story, vulnerability, and art. These are the 5 most powerful ways to impact your audience as a dancer. What's up, world? Welcome to The Movement, where we discuss all things dance, life, and this profound, powerful dance through life. Whether you're a dancer, a little klutzy, or just a lot of curious, this show is all levels friendly, baby. So lace up and let's go. What's going on? Melvin AC Howell here. Thank you so much for tuning in to The Movement. Why? Because it's not about the movement, it's about what the move meant. I'm so stoked to be with you here today. I don't have a guest with me, but that is perfectly fine because I have some major keys, some gems that I'm going to drop for you today. If you're a dancer and you just want to make an impact, like you want to be known, you want to be memorized, you want to stick in people's minds, you want to pull them in, keep them on the edge of their seats, or if you're out clubbing or you're out at a bar, you want all the attention on you. You want people to know as soon as you step on the dance floor that it is over for everybody else. So clear a path because I'm about to break it down. And if you're not a professional dancer and you just like to dance, this will help you too. Yeah, you don't have to be a professional dancer to keep the folks on the edge of their seats. So, without further ado, let's get diggity down to it. So, what we're working on today, and if you notice, I'm in my humble abode today. I'm not at the office. I realized that the sound is a lot clearer, and this is actually in my bedroom, than it was in the office. So, I'm here in my bedroom today, speaking to you all. Thank you again so much for joining. I'm so pumped. I'm so grateful for you all. Okay, I'm done with all the mushy gushy. Let's get down to the gemstones, baby. So, what we're going to focus on today is we're going to focus on how can I impact people through dance? How can I impact my audience through dance? You know, because dance isn't meant to just be entertainment. And I think that's one of the major things that's going on in dance culture, but also like art culture. But I'm going to stick with dance because it's what I know. Is people will be like, you know, dance isn't a real career. Dance is a hobby, so on and so forth. And for some people, dance is a hobby, and that's perfectly fine because dance is like water. It can take on the shape of so many different things. And dance is very, very powerful. But I want to shift this narrative to, instead of dance being entertainment, dance being a necessity of life. Dance is a form of art that is impactful and meaningful and makes a change, baby. And we got to have that change. We got to be change makers in this dance world. You feel me? Professional or not professional. Advanced or beginner. Just starting to dance. Been dancing since you came out the womb, baby. So, how can I make an impact as a dancer? So, we have the 5 major keys to being an impactful dancer, whether you're on a stage, whether you're in a stadium, whether you're the performer for a halftime show, you're choreographing, dancing someone's choreography, freestyling, shooting a dance video, a music video. You always want to make sure that you stick in somebody's mind. If you're auditioning, you want to pull the people who are judging you to the edge of their seat so that way they don't even have the attention span to see anybody else. And this is how you do it. You don't want to be a robot. Okay? I'm going to get to those 5 major keys. I'm going to teach you how to do this, okay? I'm going to teach you how to do this. But the first thing I notice whenever I go to competitions I go to audition for shows and things like that. I go to conventions. People are just regurgitating what they see other people do. They see what gets the oohs and the ahs on social media, on stage, and they want to replicate that. Replicate, duplicate, regurgitate. Yeah, I came with the bars today. But that's what they want to do. And what it does is it takes away your personal expression, it takes away your originality, and it pretty much crumples up your range of creativity, your capacity for creativity. It crumples it up, it lights it on fire, and it throws it inside of a bear cave, never to be found again. Because you're so focused on getting the oohs and the ahs that this dancer got from those same moves that you're trying to regurgitate. And this isn't just hip hop, y'all. This is with all styles of dance. Let me tell you, this is with contemporary, this is with modern, jazz, especially ballet, hip hop, all of the street styles of dance. Don't regurgitate. We're not regurgitating. Yeah, we creating. And so what they do is they take these moves that they see other people get the oohs and ahs, and they're like, I want those oohs and ahs because it validates me. It makes me feel like I'm better. It makes me feel great. And it makes me feel good. You know, it's that dopamine. Is that it? Dopamine gives you that dose of dopamine, that dose of like, life is great. People love me. But what's not happening is you're not making an impact. You're not making an impact. People might be like, oh, yay, round of applause. That was entertaining. But you're not sticking in their minds. If you go to audition for an artist or for a TV show, they might be like, oh, that was tight. That was dope. But they're going to pick Susie over here. They're going to pick Jamal over here because they were original and you were regurgitating the same things that we see all the time from these dance studios on social media, from these dancers on TikTok. We're just regurgitating. Now, it's okay to recycle dance moves. I'm not saying, because here's the thing. Art is ideas that are taken from others. It's inspiration taken from others, right? All art has foundations and basics, and then you build on that foundation. Yeah, so that's perfectly fine. Do your Roger Rabbit, do your Cabbage Patch, do your, your coupes and what have you. But add you. If your heart is not showing, I promise you're not making an impact. I watch so many performers. I audition so many people. I train, coach, teach so many people, and almost every single time they come in and they're like, this is my favorite dancer, and they want to recreate what that dancer has already created. And that's just not the way to go, because you don't stand out. You don't stand out, and you're not doing yourself justice. Dance is a healing thing. It's a therapy. It's a language of healing, and it's a universal language of healing at that. Dance does not discriminate, and it has no barriers. I don't have to know how to speak Portuguese or Cantonese or any other language for that matter. But when I dance and another person, or especially another dancer, sees that, they're gonna understand what I'm saying. Yeah, so don't regurgitate. Don't be a robot. Be you. Be creative. Now, maybe you're thinking, okay, you're saying to not regurgitate and to be me, but like, if I don't use these moves, I don't know what moves to use. I don't have any other moves. And on top of that, like, how do I be me and be creative whenever I dance, but still look cool, feel cool, look good, and take my dancing to the next level? I am so glad you asked. Which brings me around to the 5 major keys that I mentioned before, aforementioned. So let me go ahead and break these down right now for you, chickadee. Check it out right now, okay? Number 1, what we have is stage presence. I teach stage presence so much that my students probably get tired of hearing me mention it. Stage presence, stage presence, stage presence. Because here's the first thing, okay? Whenever you go to compete or perform, or you just going out to dance with your friends, or you're at a family event, or whatever the case may be, if you dancing for people, I'm gonna tell you right now. Ready? Ready? They don't care about the technique. A lot of the times we hype up the technique so much that we forget about what the people actually want to see. And that is character, personality, and stage presence. I can go up there and I can dance with this face. I can hit the cleanest waves, the cleanest ticks. I can do all of that. But if this is my face, I promise nobody don't care about what I'm doing. They're going to get bored. They might be like, oh, that's cool. How does he do that? And then they're going to be like, what's over there? Right? If you're auditioning, if this is gone, I've seen all I need to see. I'm looking around at other people because I want somebody that stands out, as far as audition is concerned. And it's not the techniques or the moves necessarily that move people to enjoy what you're doing or what you're creating. It is the character, the personality, the zhuzh, that energy, that sauce, that spark that gets them like, oh shoot. You ever go to a dance recital and everybody's looking forward to the little kids to come out? It ain't because they technically good. These kids, most of the time, these kids are terrible. I mean, you have to start somewhere, okay? Now, if I pull up one of my old YouTube videos, I was a little trash, you feel me? But the point I'm making is they don't go to see the little kids because of their skills or talents. They go to see these little kids because they're vulnerable enough most of the times. You got some who stand there like trees and you hear crickets. But then you have those who, like, even if they're not doing the dance moves, they're just jumping around stage. They show their personality and they're smiling and they're having a good time. And that's what gets the crowd involved. Okay, now that's on like a more simple scale that's easier to synthesize and digest for us, right? So little kids, oh, they're cute, they're funny, they're adorable. Kids say and do the darndest things, right? Okay, but let's take this to our level. We're talking like the teens, the adults, professional and non-professional dancers. It's not, no one is going to be impressed or want to give their energy to watching you if you look like a zombie or a robot in the face. Yeah. So I can move on to the next point. Let me just wrap this up real quick, real easy for you, real simple, like, all right. So major key number 1 is stage presence. Don't be a robot. Don't regurgitate what you saw just because it got oohs and ahs, because there are other elements to that allowed it to get oohs and ahs. Okay? So the key to not being a robot, the key to stage presence is, you ready? You listening? You paying attention? Because we're going to move on to the next one after this. The key to stage presence is your face. Your face and the energy that you're giving out. Okay? So, again, I could be like going off. I could be crumping, popping, waving. I could be doing it all. But if my face is here and my energy is kind of like blah, nobody cares. Nobody's going to remember it. As soon as they leave, they're not going to remember my name, remember my face. Right? But even if, like, let's look at it as choreography. Even if I'm messing up the steps in the choreography, if I am owning that, and my face is like, I don't even care because I'm eating right now. Like, come for me. You're not ready for this sauce that if I'm giving off that kind of energy, it's a wrap. They don't care what dance moves I did. They're entertained, period. And I'm going to stand out to them. They're going to find that they don't have the ability. They're not able to take their eyes off of me. Not because I'm missing steps or messing up, but because I'm giving energy that is hard. It's magnetic. It's hard to take your eyes off of. Yep. All right. Moving on. Major key number 2. Storytelling. All right. So dance has been around for years, decades, centuries, so on and so forth. Again, it's a language, right? But it's also a tool that has been used in many different cultures, especially African cultures, what I'll speak to tell stories. Yeah, there are different attires and clothing, traditional clothing that you can put on to add to this character of the story that you're telling. But nonetheless, dance is meant to tell stories and to communicate something. It's not just meant for entertainment. It's not a football game. It's not a basketball game. It's not a foosball game. You're not watching ping pong. Yeah. It is meant to tell a story. So tell a story, and not just any story. You have to tell your story. It's another key to being true. You got to be true to who you are. Tell your story. Yeah. It's okay to like expand or exaggerate a little bit on your story to make it easier to come across, but tell your story. Yeah. So storytelling. Storytelling immediately, it's like when you watch a movie, right? If there's no storyline or that storyline feels stale and it just feels like it's just plateaued, you falling asleep, you looking for something else, you like, this is whack, I wasted time, right? But whenever that story has ups and downs and rigidities in it, you're like, oh shoot, I did not see that coming. Like, what is happening right now, right? And so dance is that same way. We don't want to plateau. How you plateau is by not telling a story and just trying to get oohs and ahs, trying to regurgitate. That right there, that's not it. Yeah. So, number 1, stage presence. Number 2, storytelling. Number 3 is an addition to number 2. It is the ability to clearly articulate your story. So maybe I'm telling a story about me waking up in the morning, going to the kitchen to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? But if that story is choppy and my emotions or my characteristics don't really match up with what the story is, it's going to be harder for your audience to visualize what it is that you're trying to get across. Okay, so make sure that you have your transitions, and you actually need to visualize what the story is that you're telling. You need to, one, visualize the story, put yourself in the place of the story. So in your mind, put yourself in that. So first step to clarity of your story telling ability is visualization. Visualize the story that you're trying to tell, where it takes place, why it's taking place. Okay? From there, you want to mentally put yourself inside of that visualization that you just created. Okay? By putting yourself inside of this, it then becomes real, which then allows you to embody that. Okay? Whenever you visualize, you put yourself in that place mentally and you embody it, then everything comes together a lot more clearly. It's easier for anyone to comprehend, even if there are intricacies and different techniques and things that maybe the audience or whoever's watching, auditioners, so on and so forth, even if it's something they're not familiar with, they're able to understand your story. And that is the major key to storytelling: clarity of your story. Yeah. Moving on to number 4. Number 4, number 5 are the biggest ones. So I really, really need you to pay attention. Okay. Here we go. Pay attention. Listen closely. Here we go. So real quick, before we dive into 4 and 5, let's go back over the first 3. Number 1 was what? Go ahead and give it to me. Stage presence, right? Don't be a robot. Be you. Be creative. Be original. Yeah. Number 2, what is number 2? Storytelling. Storytelling. You got to tell a story. Dance was created originally as a language to tell stories. And if you're not telling a story, then it loses its purpose and it loses its value. Don't become entertainment. We're not a reality TV show, y'all. That's not what we are. We're change makers. We're making an impact with this dance thing. You feel me? You're... Number 3, addition on to number 2, is what? The ability to clearly articulate the story that you're telling. Okay? Not just jumping around from this to that, but the 3 subsections, the 3 major keys to clearly articulating your story are: visualize the story, the circumstances, the situation, where it's happening, why it's happening, when it's happening. Put yourself inside of that scenario and that story. And then, number 3, embody that story. And then there's transitions and everything else will come across a lot clearer, and it'll be a lot more natural, a lot easier to get that across. You heard me? Moving on to number 4. Number 4 is a biggin'. Let me tell you. Number 4. This is the one that gets so many people. Okay? You try to avoid it. And this is actually one of the things that kind of pushes people to be robots and go for the oohs and ahs. It's because they're afraid of number 4. You ready? Are you listening? Listen up. You hear? Okay? All right. Number 4. Not 3.5, not 3.2567. Number 4 is vulnerability. Okay, you have to be vulnerable, y'all. This is another thing that I preach so strongly right next to stage presence is vulnerability. These are the things that get me in news articles. These are the things that allow people to remember me after years of meeting just once briefly for a few minutes after one of my shows, and then hit me up for music videos or whatever the case may be, to teach at conventions or to assist or whatever, is vulnerability. People want to connect so badly. People want to connect with you. They don't want to judge you. You know, you got some people, but that's only because they're afraid of vulnerability. So it's like, let me beat you to the punch. Yeah, but we're focusing on the positive people. Most people want to connect with you. They want to find a place of common ground to connect, right? And if you're avoiding vulnerability, you're stealing away from them that opportunity to know who you are, not to know what dancers you idolize. You ever see somebody who dance like Les Twins and you just know, you're like, bruh, your favorite dancer is Les Twins, huh? Like, don't don't steal away the opportunity for other people to get to know you. Don't steal away the opportunity for other people to to be able to relate to you. And you're also stealing from yourself. You're stealing away from yourself the things that make you who you are, the experiences that make you who you are and got you to where you are now. You're stealing from yourself the opportunity to grow internally with confidence. You're stealing away from yourself so many different things that only vulnerability can give you. People want to connect with you. So many times, like, people avoid vulnerability because they're afraid of being judged. No, I get it. I get it. I totally get it. You look on social media, everywhere you turn, you're being judged, you're judging, or someone else is judging somebody else, right? There's this big thing with comparison. We always compare ourselves to other people, always compare themselves to others. And that causes a judgment. Okay? Don't worry about being judged. Because these same people that will judge you are the same people that you can impact and change their whole perspective by you being vulnerable, telling your story, showing who you are deep down inside, and just dancing from a place of love, compassion, joy, and vulnerability. And that right there is where confidence comes from. When you're able to leverage vulnerability, your confidence takes on a level that is unmatched by any facade of confidence. No amount of money can create this confidence. No amount of attention can create the confidence that you being comfortable in leveraging your vulnerability to make connections with other people. Nothing touches that. I promise you, I practice this, I exercise this every single day. Like, whenever I first started dancing, not when I first started dancing, whenever I first started like really getting stuff going with dancing, I started to get an ego about it. And then I would see other dancers who were like hella young, like way younger than me or not younger than me. And they were doing the things that I wanted to do, getting paid to travel and see the world and just dance. Like, that's been my dream since day one. Right. And so I got jealous. So I was like, I want that. So my whole perspective changed from I'm dancing. Like, I still danced because I love it, but it changed from primarily focusing on dancing because I love it and because it made me feel good and changed me and healed me on the inside positively. But it went to let me post videos to try to get attention. Let me be a little more sexual, a little more grown. Let me be a little more out there with my dancing so I'm seen. I didn't feel seen. And dude, it wasn't worth it because my dance career was the absolutely at its wackest point whenever I was doing it for the money, the accolades, the fame, and trying to build notoriety. Because people sniff that out, they realize that, they see that desperation, and it didn't do anything for my dance career, and it didn't do anything for my heart. But whenever I started operating in my vulnerability and leveraging that, everything took off like you would not believe. Opportunities at studios, conventions, master classes, opportunity to privately train people from across the country, across the world. Like, my career took off like you wouldn't believe. My confidence when it came to dance took off like you wouldn't believe. Like every time I perform, the crowds, the audiences get larger, the theaters get bigger, the platform gets larger, the territory gets larger. And like the nerves never really go away, but that's a good thing because you leverage the nerves as well. And it just lets you know that you care. So anytime, this is a sidebar, anytime you're about to perform and you're nervous, even if you've been performing for years, or if this is your first time performing coming up, leverage that. Look at those butterflies, like turn those nerves of like, I'm going to mess up. I don't want to mess up. There's going to be a lot of people, like my family, friends here. Turn the nervousness and the anxiety into happy butterflies and be like, oh, this just actually means that I care about what I'm doing and I'm here for a reason. I have this opportunity for a reason and I'm going to make the absolute most out of it. Yeah. Boom. What point was that? Vulnerability. Number 4, vulnerability. Be vulnerable. One, because people want to connect with you. They don't really aim to judge you. And if they are aiming to judge you to avoid their own personal insecurities or vulnerabilities, you being vulnerable gives them permission to be vulnerable. And that's where impact is made in this world. Not just from one person to one person, but this is where impact happens. That positively changes and affects the whole world. Leverage your vulnerability. Don't run from it. Vulnerability is often looked at as a weakness, when let me tell you something. I don't know if anybody else going to tell you this, but you're going to hear this a lot on my page and on this talk show. Vulnerability is often looked at as a weakness, when vulnerability is actually our greatest strength. Turn vulnerability, your perspective of vulnerability in your mind, change it from weakness to meekness. Yeah, meekness is like a hidden strength. Like you have the ability to like use this vulnerability to really make somebody cry or to really have somebody feel where you coming from and to tell that story that's going to stick with them. It's a strength. It really is. Vulnerability is a weapon of positivity, but a weapon nonetheless. It's powerful. Think like you being vulnerable gives permission to everyone else in that room to be vulnerable. So don't steal that opportunity away from them because of your fear of judgment. And don't steal that opportunity away from you because your fear of judgment. And last part before I move on to the last point, number 5. You're not only stealing this, it's not just a fear of judgment from others. You've heard we're our biggest critic, right? This is you fearing judgment of yourself. If you miss a step or if you stumble or something, then you're going to be hard on yourself. And a lot of the times, it's not even that we fear other people judging us as much as we fear judging ourselves for doing something that we feel like cringy, or maybe we mess up and we've been working mad hard on this choreography for a hell of a long time, whatever. Be easy on yourself. Show yourself grace. Live in and leverage your vulnerability, because I promise you, it is your greatest strength. And once you learn how to live in, live with, and leverage your vulnerability, you are going to meet people in the dance world that you never would have thought you would meet. And you're going to make an impact, and people will remember your name, remember your face, and remember how you impacted them. Boom. I could end it right there. I could end it right there. But I'm not going to, because I promised you 5 major keys. I'm going to give you this 5th one. All right. I don't know how long I've been on here, but I'm gonna give you this last one, and then we're gonna be out. You heard me? So this last one, number 5. So let's go through number 1 through 4 again. Number 1, stage presence. Number 2, storytelling. Number 3, the ability to clearly articulate your story. Number 4, vulnerability. And number 5 is art. I know you heard that and you're like, what is he even talking about right now? Like, he was on a roll, he was on a ball, he had me, and then he just said art. Like, what? Like, art? Okay, dance is art, but what? I'm glad you have so many questions, young Padawan. So, through my relationship with dance, I came up with this acronym for art because of how it's impacted and changed the course of my life, and how I've been able to use dance to positively impact and change the course of other people's lives, from chronic depression and suicidal thoughts to just feeling lowly and unseen, unheard. Art. A is awareness. R is reflection. T is transformation. Now, if you are able to leverage points 1 through 5, what's going to happen is that's going to sum up into point number 5. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 5, y'all. Remember that. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 5. Okay? So, let me break this down a little bit for you. Dance has the ability to create awareness. It has the ability to then, from creating awareness, to cause reflection, which then encourages and oftentimes forces the hand of transformation. Okay, let me dig a little bit deeper with that. All right, so you ever went and saw somebody perform dance, or you watched a video and it just like really grabbed you? Like, you couldn't stop watching the video. You had to watch it all the way to the end. Maybe you even saved it to your watch later, or you just like, you watch it on repeat, you saved it, something. What happened is that artist made you aware of something. They made you aware of something. Not only did they make you aware of how phenomenal they were, but they made you aware of something internal, right? When you're made aware of something internal in this way, it causes you then to reflect on that. Like, dang, I'm feeling this right now. And then it causes tears. Now, this isn't every time. It doesn't cause tears every time. I'm just giving like a general example. Yeah. So I watch you perform, and you're being vulnerable, and you're clearly articulating your story from poverty, or your inspirational story from a lowly place of depression where you had suicidal thoughts, and now you're inspiring the world, right? That pulls me in. I start to reflect on that, like, wow, this is powerful. And the fact that they're using art as a beacon to get this message to other people who may be feeling that same way, or may be going through that same thing, or have went through that same thing, that makes me feel like sad that they had to go through that. But it also makes me feel happy that they made it out, which then causes the reaction of tears. You get that burny nose in your feeling before you've been to cry. And then from that reflection, It causes transformations. It then inspires me to be like, wow, they literally were vulnerable enough with me to allow me to know who they were and to connect with them, that they used their story to make this impact on me. That gives me permission to be vulnerable and use my story to make an impact on others. So what I thought was not possible at first because I was afraid of vulnerability now becomes a possibility. It has transformed now the path of my thoughts and the path of my life. And vulnerability actually encourages vulnerability and art, awareness, reflection, encourages, I forgot where I was going with that, but transformation, essentially. Okay. So I ain't even gonna go any deeper. I could go on for forever, but I'm not gonna keep you here. Let me just go, and maybe I'll do like another episode of this and just go a little bit deeper into art. But let's go from 1 to 5. Ready? Here we go. Stage presence, storytelling, the ability to clearly articulate your story, vulnerability, and art. These are the 5 most powerful ways to make an impact on your audience as a dancer. All that being said, it just goes back to why the name of this show is the name of this show is the name of this show, The Movement. Because it's not about what the movement. Don't nobody care about the movement. Don't nobody care about the technique. Don't nobody care about your clean waves, bruh. Don't nobody care about your 12 consecutive pirouettes on your big toe, ma'am, sir. Them, they, him, her, bars. It's about what the move meant. How are you making an impact? How are you positively changing someone? How are you giving perspective? Mic drop. My name is Melvin AC Howell. Thank you so much for tuning in to The Movement. This is episode 3, and I hope you have a beautiful, blessed day, week, month, year. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. If your birthday's coming up, happy birthday. If your birthday already passed, guess what? Happy birthday. I'm out. Yay! Thank you so much for tuning in to The Movement with Melvin AC Howell. Why? Because it's not about the movement. It's about what the move meant. Catch us every Wednesday right here, same time. Maybe not the same place, because I like to keep it pushing. Catch you next time.